With ClickOrlando.com, this is News 6 at 4, getting results.
Rescue efforts underway in Central Florida after Hurricane Ian pummels the region. Some counties are dealing with what they call historic flooding as that storm pushes out of the state. Finally, we have live team coverage on the aftermath and the impacts of Ian. So glad you're with us today. This is News 6 at 4. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. We are getting some breaking news in now from Flagler County. Flagler Beach Police sharing this photo within the last 2 hours. They say the iconic pier sustained significant damage from Ian. They are urging people to stay away from this area.
After a long stretch of powerful wind and rain in the overnight and early hours, Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells, you were there walking us through each watch and warning.
It's been a tough run, guys, but I think sometime tonight, finally, we'll be able to sound most of the all clear. You look at these waves, you look at the way the camera's shaking, and you know what's going on, and your heart aches for the piers all along our strip of beautiful oceanfront property. 75 degrees right now in Daytona Beach. You look at that wind. Still coming in here at 29 miles per hour in Daytona Beach. Now, that is not tropical storm strength, but just up the road in Flagler County, things are still obviously of grave concern. You take a look at what's happening right now in Palm Coast. The pier is damaged, and look at this. Here's still another one of those leading edges of the feeder band coming down right toward you there from St. Augustine, where the flooding has been immense, into Palm Coast, Flagler Beach, down to Ormond Beach yet again. Now, the rainfall totals over here are still pretty significant. In the last several hours, the trying to get its act together out here over the open water. And so we're talking about a situation that's going to improve eventually, if not rapidly. I think rapidly has to wait until tomorrow. Tonight's more gradual. My reporting station in Palm Coast has kind of been knocked out. I mean, if you damage a pier, it's going to take out a reporting station too. 29 mile per hour wind Daytona Beach, 28 Ocala, 22 in Orlando. So these winds are looking better. But look at this down here in southern Brevard County, from northern Brevard down to southern, down to Melbourne, 25 mile per hour wind in Melbourne. And the wind gust right there in Cocoa Beach has been 48 and 54 miles per hour was the gust in the last hour at the Cape. So it's over, but you know what? It's not really over. It's just starting to get a little better, and I'm afraid some of the suffering from the flooding is still just beginning.
Yeah, Tom, unfortunately. Thank you. And as Ian moves out to sea, we are getting a bird's eye view of its destruction in southwest Florida. Just take a look at this. Aerials show the devastation in Fort Myers Beach, typically a hotspot for tourists, decimated by the Category 4 storm that hit. And you can see the water has cut off the causeway to Sanibel Island. Look at that gap in the middle. That used to be connected. It's stranding people on the other side.
Well, Sanibel is destruction. For those of you who haven't been, it's a beautiful place, really neat community, and it got hit with really biblical storm surge. I think most people have seen the images of the bridge, the causeway going out to Sanibel, where you have destruction of that, and that's something that we obviously will rebuild, but that's not something that will happen overnight. And so most of what's being done to assist is air operations, since you can't get there on the ground.
All right, let's take you back to Fort Myers Beach now. You saw the destruction from above. Here is what it looks like on the ground. Debris everywhere. Buildings, businesses, just torn to the ground. And while rescue efforts are underway in southwest Florida, Ian packed a powerful punch as it moved inland to central Florida.
And the National Guard has been deployed and is doing rescues in central Florida. Eric Von Anken saw one firsthand along Lee Road in Orange County. He joins us live now. Eric?
Right, Matt. Yeah, we were heading down Lee Road right here. We were coming back from southwest Florida when we saw something right here that was surreal at the time, but has become fairly normal now across all of central Florida. A flooded parking lot or a flooded street, a building with people inside, and the National Guard and the fire department showing up to rescue. There was no easy way out of this motel. The water in the parking lot surrounding the building was knee-deep in spots, and it was starting to seep into the rooms, filling up the first floor. So when the National Guard got here, people were relieved and grateful. In their arms was everything they owned, clothing mostly, a few personal possessions, and children, some of them babies, who would not have made it through the toxic floodwater on their own.
Ma'am, you okay?
Why do they need the National Guard to come get them?
Some of them can't. Well, you got sick people here too, you know, and so they need some type of system.
We're seeing people carrying clothing and, more importantly, their children, babies.
Yes. Also kids here too, yes, yes.
It took a special wheelchair and a special team to get this elderly woman out. They gently lowered her to the ground after lifting her high up into this military tactical vehicle. An Orange County Fire Rescue used their rigid inflatable boat to ferry this woman from the motel to dry land and then guided her into a waiting van.
I appreciate this help I'm getting.
Rescuers are now taking these people to shelters, mostly high schools, but they can't take everything. Can I ask, ma'am, are you okay? Are they taking care of you?
Is she right up here?
The rescue team's doing a great job.
Anything you want to say to
Stuff on the ground or something. Yeah.
Had to leave my animals behind.
Which animals? What do you got in there?
2 cats.
Can they get to them?
I don't know. I don't know.
We know there's so many desperate people like that right now across Central Florida, and so many scenes and situations like that we're going to be talking about and seeing over the coming hours later on tonight and the next few days. And I want you to know, guys, if you're waiting for help, it is coming. There are boots on the ground. We saw it right here. They will get to you. For now, live in Orlando, Eric Von Aken getting results. News 6.
Yeah, people just have to be patient and wait. Just such heartbreaking stories still coming out of this. Eric, thank you. And there is major flooding right now in Osceola County after some areas saw more than 15 inches of rain from Ian.
The city of Kissimmee issued a mandatory curfew from 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. until further notice. We have some videos, some of the rescue efforts from early this morning. Those big trucks are coming in handy. You see a truck full of people being rescued here. News 6 investigator Lewis Bolden is in Osceola for us and spoke to the sheriff. Lewis.
Sheriff Marco Lopez tells us there is flooding all around Osceola County, and that certainly appears to be the case around HCA Florida Osceola Hospital, where every street is flooded. And less than a mile from here, the flooding was so bad, people actually had to be rescued from their homes. It was in the early morning hours when residents in the Delwood Park neighborhood off Orange Blossom Trail in Kissimmee started leaving their homes.
I'm in my house. Water everywhere.
Hurricane Ian produced rain for hours that flooded many people's homes.
We just waiting inside. We close everything. We try to stop the water. Just waiting, and we call 911.
When daylight came, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office started rescuing parents with children and their pets. It took a large truck and an airboat to make it into the neighborhood because the street flooding was so deep.
We heard the airboat, so my mom and my dad looked outside to see if it was them, and yeah, it was them.
We reported live while it happened. It looks like 6 people are being brought out on this truck. Right behind the truck is the airboat. Many residents tell us they climbed out windows because the water was too high to open doors. Sheriff's deputies went door to door and rescued families by the truckload. Some grabbed what they could, throwing their belongings into plastic bags just to make it out.
Yeah, this is closed, and this is my computer of work.
Carl Bergner woke up at 3 o'clock this morning and stepped into ankle-deep water.
My family's lived there since 1972. Never seen anything like that.
The sheriff tells us at this point there are no reports of injuries. Reporting in Osceola County, I'm Lewis Bolden, getting results. News 6.
Lewis, thank you. And as Ian moves north, it's still creating problems for people who live in Volusia and Flagler counties in particular. We've got some live pictures from Daytona Beach. You can see it is still really whipping up some rough surf out there. News 6's Eric Sandoval rode out the storm in Daytona Beach, but of course the troubles don't stop in that city.
This afternoon, Flagler County emergency management leaders announced an expanded evacuation in that area. And as soon as they did that, we got in our news vehicle to go see what that area looked like. But we didn't get too far. Take a look at some of the video that we shot along A1A. This is what it looked like here. We had near hurricane strength wind gusts, lots of debris, and down power lines. Now, Flagler County leaders say people who live in Zone C, which is the woodlands near I-95 and Palm Coast, need to leave their homes immediately because the floodwaters in that area are getting too high. They're worried emergency crews may not be able to get to you. Rimfield Elementary School is the shelter they're pointing people to. Now, that flooding is a problem here in Volusia County, too, and Sheriff Mike Chitwood says the curiosity seekers are making things worse.
I have people out there in their F-150s driving around, taking selfies, zooming through these flooded areas, and what they're doing is they're pushing that water into people's homes, people that are on the brink of not flooding or flooding.
Now, to prevent more of that from happening, Volusia County emergency management leaders have extended the curfew here. It now takes effect until 7 tomorrow morning. If you're caught out and about, you could face a $500 fine and possible jail time. We're in Volusia County. Eric Sandoval, Getting Results, News 6.
Eric, thank you. And our coverage does not stop there. We're covering Lake Seminole, all in the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, we're also tracking flooding in the heart of downtown Orlando. Trooper Steve walks us through some of the damage. He'll join us for a live report next at 4. Tom.
And the rain does continue on the coast. This thing's leaving, but it's not leaving fast enough. Still pouring. Just beating up the coast side here from Palm Coast down to Daytona Beach. I'll be back to pinpoint that. Meteorologist Julie Broughton is still here with me. We'll pinpoint how we've made it through this thing so far, and we'll look ahead to an improved weather picture for your weekend.
Looking forward to that. You are watching News 6 at 4. We'll be right back.
News 6 Insider is sponsored by Orange County Library System. As Ian makes its way out of Florida, News 6 is still here for you. The worst of the storm may have passed, but stay with News 6 as flooding and power outages continue and the cleanup begins. Keep watching and streaming News 6 as we assess the damage county by county and give you important updates from city and county leaders. As the power returns and the water subsides, you can turn to News 6 for the latest relief and recovery efforts in your area. Don't miss a single life-saving update. Stay with News 6 and get results. Live with Ginger Gadsden, Lisa Bell, Julie Broughton. Weather with Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells and Meteorologist Candace Campos. This is News 6 at 4, Getting Results.
All right, we are joined now by Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells and Meteorologist Julie Broughton. And sometimes, Julie, we forget that you're a meteorologist until such times as these.
She doesn't forget.
No, she doesn't, and thank goodness. But I do want to start by talking to Tom, which is also something that's very popular people do during hurricanes. You guys combined have a lot of years of experience in this market, and you've seen just about everything when it comes to a forecast like this one. What are your thoughts now that it's moving out of our area? This was an historic storm. And you said it is one for generations.
Yes, generational. When this was coming on, I was trying to explain to people, all of us got hit by Hurricane Charlie 18 years ago, but a whole generation of people have come along since then. If you were 5 years old when that happened, you barely remember anything about it outside the fact you've heard stories.
You won't forget this
is the new one for the new generation. People are going to be talking about this through their 20s, 30s, and 40s. Like, wow, were you there? Where were you when it flooded? Like, well, did you see what it'll be the benchmark. And I think this is a generational storm.
And it seems like every storm is sort of known for one thing. Combined together, you guys have 43 years of meteorological experience.
In this town.
Spit that in this town and even more than that outside. What will you take away from this storm, Julie?
You know, I think as we were looking at the track and the path, everyone was comparing it to Charlie. But, you know, Tom and I have talked about this. Charlie was so much smaller. Charlie moved through so fast. And we've been dealing with the effects of this storm now 36 hours. And just watching the video, our reporters out and seeing these live rescues and the flooding. I mean, this is something that we've never seen in this area. We always talk about the flooding with Faye. And this, you know, I mean, it's catastrophic.
When I was talking to Scott Maxwell, a reporter at the Orlando Sentinel, about this, and he was doing the interview with me, he was like, well, what? I said, I think it's Charlie meets Francis, but it really was Charlie meets Faye.
Yeah.
Because
with
it
the
came
soaking.
so much rain.
And has one had a storm surge like this? That caused such a problem out on the coast, too.
Well, they've had big storm surges before. Irma had a big storm surge, but this was crazy. Crazy. And seeing all the devastation, the water running down the streets. In Central Florida, I never thought in my life I'd see a airboat go down the street in Kissimmee.
That's the thing. I was thinking, we see videos like this and you're like, oh, that's New Orleans. That's someplace else. That's not us. But you wake up this morning, it's like, that's Orlando.
Right. Looking all over social media, I mean, I saw somebody like on water skis on the back of a truck being pulled by Lake Eola through the Ivanhoe
That's
area.
very Florida.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've never walked by Lake Eola and thought, that's water I want to water ski in. It's a beautiful lake, but not water that you want to do that for. So how are we looking going forward, Tom?
Well, we're going to do better. I'm hesitant to be a little jubilant or to be too pumped up because we're still getting lambasted in parts of the viewing area. Let's go to it right now and show you what's happening. Here's the fan for the tropical storm. I want to start there because that's started this whole thing. Ian is still out there with wind speeds of 70 miles per hour as of our last update. We will get a brand new path to projected movement with this storm coming up at 5 o'clock. But I know you've seen this, Ginger. I know your heart, while your head is here, your body's here, your heart's here in Charleston with your...
They were all calling me for this storm, and now I'm calling them.
I know. Your family's up there. It's where you're born and raised. And so all of a sudden, you're, oh, great. I get hit and my family gets hit. We'll see if that changes by 5, but I don't think so. The models are in pretty doggone good agreement. That's the way it's going to go. Take a look at what's happening right now with our storm system. It's not overly impressive, but the beating we're taking on the coast is impressive to me. This rain has just been relentless. And so from Palm Valley, St. Augustine, down to Palm Coast where the piers already had damage. We've talked about it and talked about it. It's just heartbreaking. The center of the storm kind of went away last night. At 11 o'clock, the Hurricane Center said, okay, we can't really find the eye, so we're going to stop tracking the eye for a while. This is what it looks like in downtown Orlando right now. We're still grayed over. We're still blustery. Wind is from the west-northwest at 22. It is 64 degrees on the Orlando Health Camera. Here's the pier in Daytona Beach. It's still hanging in there for the moment. Daytona Toyota, and Kia Cam, 75 is the current reading. Look at these winds. Wind speed 30 miles per hour at the Cape, 22 in Orlando, and the wind gusts have been crazy. A 48 mile per hour wind gust in the last hour in Daytona Beach. This is the way it is now. Let's check in with meteorologist Julie Broughton about what we've been through. Hey, Julie.
Tom, we all expected to see those tropical storm force winds throughout the viewing area, and certainly that is what we did see. But we also saw some hurricane wind gusts. Here are the look at the peak wind gusts reported. Look at that. Melbourne, Barrier Islands, 81 mile per hour wind gusts. At the airport in Orlando, reporting 61 mile per hour gusts at Sanford Orlando Airport, and New Smyrna Beach clocking 86 mile per hour gusts. And for those of you in Osceola Heritage Park, that area down in Kissimmee, 56 mile per hour wind gusts. Of course, the big story will continue to be the rain. So much rain has fallen over the last 24 to 36 hours, and it just really has no place to go. As we go county by county, in Orange County, Union Park, you saw more than 16.5 inches of rain, 14.37 inches of rain in Orlando. Pine Castle, Aloma, Azalea Park, and Bithlow all seen around 12 to 14 inches of rain from this system. Now, Brevard County still raining in some parts of Brevard County. You saw about 6.5 inches of rain in Satellite Beach, but as we go up to Titusville, more than 14 inches. And as we go through the rest of the afternoon, we'll take you through the rest of our area, county by county, with these rainfall totals. Tom.
All right, come take a look at where we're going from here, Julie. Tonight, everything begins to check out. Now, it's still going to be raining in spots, most especially Flagler County, but tomorrow we clean up. Saturday, we get cleaner, and then come Sunday, whoo, the sun does shine. Take a look at the forecast on Friday. Daytime highs 81 with the sun beginning to build back in. Saturday, sunny, 85, and Sunday looks simply amazing. We got several days for the floodwaters to recede, things to dry out, to clean up. Please don't leave us. We'll be right back with more news.
This portion of the news is sponsored by BFAR Contracting.
Well, if you've looked around your neighborhood, I'm sure you've noticed debris is everywhere, and the roads are a similar scene.
Yeah, there's flooding, downed trees. Let's get right over to traffic safety expert Trooper Steve. He is in College Park this afternoon. Steve.
Hey, Ginger. Hey, Matt. So I'm here in College Park right now at Lake Adair, and I'm on Lake Adair Drive. It looks like the lake, but look behind me here. We're talking about 3 foot of water around this this lake right now, and it flows. So OPD has shut down Edgewater southbound here, but for whatever reason, people like to drive by the barriers and then continue on and take photos. So they continue all the way down here. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see all the way down there. They have it shut down at Lakeshore, and you cannot bypass this area. I've spoke to a few residents in this area, and they said they have not seen something like this in a lifetime, but I did speak to one lady, and she said Hurricane Donna. Now, I don't even know who Donna is, and that just shows how long she's been living here. Earlier, I went over towards Lake Eola, and Lake Eola, that was a kind of a reality check to see Lake Eola kind of unsurface itself, take over the band shell, and just the flooding, guys. Matt, Ginger, it was insane there, just the footage. And then we got word of some issues over towards Lake Ivanhoe. So I made my way towards Lake Ivanhoe, but we could not get to Lake Ivanhoe and Magnolia. I had to get out of the car and then start exploring that area on foot. No one could get by there other than large utility trucks or fire department. Even the police units that were within that area could not bypass there because of there. Then we were notified of a community over in the Eatonville area that just, it was really sad because although the flooding did not come into a lot of their homes, what happened was the community could not bypass any of the roads. Eatonville was out there, Eatonville Police Department, their utility crew, with these huge water pumps doing their best to get that stuff out. Now, this is happening all across Central Florida. I'm back out here still over in College Park, guys. And the biggest thing, if anyone takes anything I've said today to heart, is please stop putting yourself in harm's way. People like this out in a golf cart, because in the College Park area, that's what they do.
Oh, and we lost Steve's picture. But you got the idea. He was almost done. Oh, yeah. You got the idea of what was going on. Lake Adair just overflowing its banks. And Hurricane Donna, by the way, 1960. That's how long that woman has lived in College Park.
That is a long, historic storm, I would say. It hasn't happened since then. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
Live with ClickOrlando.com, this is News 6 at 4:30. Getting results.
We continue to follow breaking news in Flagler County. This is a new picture from Flagler Beach Police. In it, you can see the Flagler Beach Pier is damaged. Police are urging people to stay out of this area. Flagler County is still getting the back end of this storm. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
So glad you're with us tonight. I'm Matt Austin. Let's get you right over to our chief meteorologist, Tom Searles. Tom, what's the latest?
The latest is it's slow to change, guys. It's been about the same as it was an hour ago. The only update I have for you is that it is out there, still lambasting our coast side here with big rain from Palm Coast to Daytona Beach all the way up. I'm going to widen this view back out. Let's go all the way up to Jacksonville, where some of the feeder band action is making it into Jax Beach. I don't think they're going to end up with like 22 inches of rain, but they are getting pummeled, and the flooding that's been going on over here around St. Augustine is impressive. I can't say it's as impressive as folks having to be rescued, but it's nasty up there now. It really, really is. Where do we stand here in Central Florida? We'll look at Daytona Beach. Here's the pier hanging on right now. Temperature reading in Daytona Beach is 75, but what you really want to pay attention to is that wind coming in from the north at 29 miles per hour. Let's check in with meteorologist Julie Broughton. Hey, Jill.
Tom, we saw some very powerful wind gusts really at the peak of Ian moving through our area. Here is a look at some of those highest wind gusts. We're talking about 86 mile per hour wind gusts in New Smyrna Beach in Brevard County. Some of you saw wind gusts in the low 80s at 81 miles per hour, 67 mile per hour gusts at the airport in Orlando, and 61 at the airport in Sanford. Here's a look at our current wind speed. Still very windy along the coast. Sustained winds in Daytona Beach, 29 miles per hour. And we keep it right around 30 all the way down toward Melbourne, where sustained winds are 25 miles per hour. Still seeing those higher gusts along the coast. Cape Canaveral, your winds are gusting up to 41 miles per hour. And if you're in Melbourne, you are seeing wind gusts at 36 miles per hour. We'll talk more county by county about how much rain we've seen so far coming up in just a few minutes. Now back to you guys.
Julie, thank you. And right now, Seminole County officials are dealing with a major water event.
Yeah, officials say the Little Wekiva River is at historic levels, and the St. Johns River is also in a flood stage. The water is getting into people's homes there. News 6's Catherine Silver joins us live in Sanford. Catherine.
Ginger, even as this storm leaves the state, we continue to see what it leaves behind. As you can see, powerful winds. Restaurant at St. John's Steak and Seafood here down by the waterfront in Sanford. Those same winds also sending debris flying across the parking lot here, even up into trees. Another big concern tonight, as you mentioned, historic flooding in parts of Seminole County.
The water started coming up through the air conditioning vent.
Norman Rolfe says floodwaters forced his family to seek shelter upstairs at his home near 20th and Lily in Sanford.
And our entire home is flooded with about 2 foot of water.
Speaking with us via FaceTime, he showed us the reality many are facing.
Still under a lot of water.
And the relief when first responders came to the rescue.
We got Sanford's finest here. They're just walking everybody out nice and slow.
In Altamont Springs, rising waters from the Little Wekiva River led to another rescue. The river reaching record flood stage Thursday morning.
He walked that way through the water. He said it was up to here on him, so.
It was up to his chest height?
Yeah.
Homeowners say they've seen flooding before in this low-lying Spring Oaks neighborhood, but never like this.
It's almost to the top. The waters have never gone up to the driveways like it did this time, even when we had 4 or 5 hurricanes in 2004.
Water, not the only problem. The wind, also part of the hurricane's wrath. The waterfront at Lake Monroe filled with sights and sounds and reminders of the impact of Ian. And if we look at Ian by the numbers right now, about 350 people staying in emergency shelters, 5 homes damaged, and more than 135,000 homes without power, according to Seminole County Emergency Management. This community has a long road ahead. I'm live in Sanford. Catherine Silver, getting results, News 6.
Yeah, those numbers tell the story. Thank you, Catherine. Orange County officials say they have had water rescues in 12 neighborhoods across the county as fire rescue continues to survey the damage.
News 6's Jerry Askin was there as people had to be rescued, and he joins us live outside News 6's studio. So, Jerry, what can you tell us?
Hey, Matt and Ginger, that's right. In fact, we've seen those rescues all day. I've never seen the water get this high behind the lake at our station here at this lake here. In fact, I've also never seen the water get as high along this fence here. I'm not going to go back any further to test it out for myself. We were there today as rescue teams actually got people to safety, including children and seniors.
I was really scared when the water started coming like crazy.
Anicia Sierra said she woke up to knee-high floodwaters at her Orlando condo community Thursday morning.
It's like, oh my God, start calling 911. I mean, who, where? I mean, I need somebody to come and rescue.
Her condo complex off of Curry Ford Road looked more like a river. We watched for hours as the Orlando Fire Department and emergency crews used boats to rescue more than 100 people at the complex from the high waters. We saw families and even small children being helped after floodwaters rushed into their homes. This woman carrying what appears to be her small child. Many of them got on these Lynx buses bound for Orange County shelters. And not far away at this nursing home off of Cimarron Boulevard. Those Orange County fire rescue workers now using a boat, and they're loading it up on a truck there, but using a boat to get inside after we're told water made its way inside the Avante at Orlando nursing home overnight, inside that first floor.
We requested the resources or the assets, and then in the meantime, we set up a game plan as far as who we were going to move first and where we're going to be moving them to.
More than 100 seniors were rescued and taken on Lynx buses to shelters. And how does it feel for you to be able to help after seeing these folks in here, you know, trying to get out?
Well, you know, I have a grandmother, 92 years old, so I just because if it was my grandmother, I would appreciate if somebody would do the same.
And among those seniors today, we're told about 10 of them were taken to the hospital, but should be okay. They were just checked out. Again, the rescues you saw today live were 2 of many rescues in Orange County and throughout Central Florida. Again, the water here is the highest I've seen it here since I've been at News 6. We're live in the News 6 parking lot. Jerry Askin, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, Jerry, you got to watch out in that water. We had an eel and a catfish wash up into the parking lot.
I warned Jerry, which is, I think, the reason why he's not testing
That's
the
why
water
you don't
right
want to
now.
put a toe
Exactly.
in there.
Yeah, good job, Jerry. Very smart.
Who knows what else is in there, too. Well, before the storm even hit, people in their rising water.
The Lake County Emergency Management official said more than 860 used Lake County shelters during the storm. News 6's Mark Lehman is in Astor, seeing the flooded streets and talking to people who saw water coming into their homes.
We traveled today through the area of Astor, which is right along the St. Johns River on the Lake and Volusia County line. We saw rain falling overnight and all throughout the day, and it's led to a situation like this. Take a look. We've seen canals in the backyards of homes spilling over into the yards and all the way into the front yards of homes as well, and it's spilling into the streets, and it's led to this situation we're seeing off in the distance where this apartment complex is basically flooded out. Some floor units problems, and it's basically a similar situation as we're seeing all over. These are images from a neighborhood on the other side of the river. That's where we saw, again, streets flooded out, some heavy-duty lifted trucks driving through those streets, and we ran into a man who put up a no-wake sign because he was concerned that the vehicles driving down those roads would send water into his home. Here's what he told us about the situation. We talk about the St. Johns River. It's very close to here. Over the next couple days, it's just going to rise.
Oh, yeah. This is just the beginning. Yeah, this is absolutely just the beginning. It's going to be a lot more. You're going to start seeing people going around in kayaks and canoes and stuff and all. So, yes, definitely.
I noticed you put a no-wake sign here. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we actually keep this here because of the periodic flooding. Again, we expect it. But I put this out here because people like to come by and see the damage when the sun comes out. And they'll drive the roads, but they're going too fast. And then we'll take the water and flood it up into people's living room, into their house. So we put a sign out here to ask them, please slow down. I know you're going to look, but please slow down so that doesn't happen.
The question for many now is just how much more will the water rise? We know the St. Johns River was near major flood stage early this morning. It's only gone up since then. It will likely reach possibly record levels this weekend. So for the people living here in this area, they're staying put for the most part, hoping that things improve and just hoping that the damage doesn't get any worse. For now, reporting in Volusia County, Mark Lehman, Getting Results, News 6.
Thank you, Mark. And there are power outages across the state right now. Restoration efforts are underway.
Investigator Mike Holfeld will join us in just minutes with the latest update. And Jamie Say is going through the feeds as new heartbreaking video comes out of South Florida on the devastation. You're watching News 6 at 4:30. Getting Results. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by the new Epic Pepperoni Stuffed Crust Pizza, only at Papa John's. This portion of the news is sponsored by Badcock Home Furniture and more.
Stream News 6 whenever you want. Sponsored by the Florida Lottery. Watch news, weather, and special investigations on your time. You can even tune in to your favorite News 6 podcast. Download News 6 Plus to your smart TV now.
Live with Ginger Gadsden, Lisa Bell, Julie Broughton. Weather with Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells and Meteorologist Candace Campos. This is News 6 at 4, Getting Results.
Well, tonight, rescue crews are working around the clock in southwest Hurricane Ian.
Jamie Say is in studio with some images we are getting in. Jamie?
Ginger, the images are so tough. Beachside communities have been washed away when the major hurricane made landfall yesterday afternoon in southwest Florida. We showed you this video earlier. This is provided by the Sheriff's Office. It shows the destruction in Fort Myers. It shows homes washed away. Bridge, the only way onto the island, collapsed. More inland near downtown Fort Myers here, some of the famous palm tree lined streets are now flooded. One woman described what it was like riding out the storm.
I just tried to keep everyone calm the whole time. It was very scary to have the water and the river flowing underneath us all along. I live at the beach, so this was safer than the beach, and I'm a little nervous to go back to my home and see what that looks like.
Just so many heartbreaking images from Southwest Florida. The Lee County Sheriff said his office was scrambling to respond to thousands of 911 calls overnight. Many roads and bridges in Fort Myers and the surrounding area were impassable. Matt and Ginger.
All right, Jamie Say, thank you. And here's a live look at Daytona Beach from our Daytona Toyota and DeLand Kia camera. It has been rocking and rolling out there for a while.
Yeah, it really has been. And you would think that by now, I know it's been a short while since the storm passed, but you would think that calm would ensue now. But it is still really rough out there. Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells joins us now. How much longer are we going to see these rough surfs out there, Tom?
Well, in the words of Faulkner, the past has never really passed. It seems like it's always here, doesn't it? And that's what's going on, Ginger. It's hanging out right here. I'm afraid it's going to be several more hours before we see the winds really start to abate, mostly over here in Flagler County. It's the last of our home counties to hang on to the storm because it's trying to regroup and get its act back together. If you look across the entire state, from the Panhandle all the way down to Miami tonight, just about every other area of Florida is under the blanket of dry air, which is wrapped around the backside of the system and really helped flatten out the backside of it during the really height of the storm last night into the overnight hours. It's one of the main reasons the eye kind of filled in, kind of rolled over, did suck in a little bit of dry air, I believe, and that made a big difference for us. But now that it's out over the open waters of the eastern seaboard of the Atlantic, the dry air is still battling it, but not doing a good enough job to really make it die out. So we go to the radar, and you see the broad area of rotation is there, and the eye is trying to tighten back up. We're getting the big rain over here on the coast, all the way from Daytona Beach to Ormond Beach. Now, across the interior, Orange City down to Deltona, the rain has pretty much stopped. I was outside taking a quick break about an hour and a half ago, and it was not raining on me. There was some mist coming down when I first went up, but then it stopped. And so across the interior, just mist to light rain. But this is some pretty good pounding rain still going on from St. Augustine all the way down to Palm Coast. And the waves, as you have already seen, are just relentless. Standing by now with a look at how we made out during this whole thing. The rain was the thing early, then the wind kind of died out, and the rain became the big thing late, causing all the flooding. Here's meteorologist Julie Broad.
Yeah, Tom, we are looking at just really unbelievable rainfall totals. We knew this system would dump a lot of rain across central Florida, but as we go county by county for you and check out some of those rainfall totals, remember this rain fell in a short amount of time. Now it just doesn't have any place to go, and that is why we were dealing with so many flash flood advisories earlier today, and even flood advisories still in place for Flagler County until 9 o'clock tonight. Rainfall totals in Volusia County ranging from about 10 to more than 15 inches. You are with coming in at almost picking up about 11.5 inches of rain in DeLand. You 13 inches of rain. Moving to Seminole County for you now. Again, rainfall totals around 13 to 16. Leota, you saw more than 14 inches of rain, 15 in Sanford. Winter Springs also, and up in Lake Mary picking up more than 16 inches of rain. Heading over into Lake County, not as much as we've seen in some of our coastal areas, talking about in general around 6 to 8 inches of rain, with Astor picking up about 8.25 inches of rain, and we are seeing a lot of Osceola County for you. Of course, Lewis Bolden has been out in the Kissimmee area. We have seen just catastrophic flooding for some of those folks, with Campbell picking up almost 16 inches of rain, almost 13 inches of rain in Pine Grove, and about 10 in Poinciana. St. Cloud seeing more than 11.5 inches of rain. Tom, we are going to dry things out, but this is something that folks are going to be dealing with these consequences a long time.
Long time. It's going to take a long time for everything. You either evaporate the rain, absorb the rain, or it flows away. Hard for it to flow away when the St. Johns River is what drains the entire area, and it's chock full at flood stage, and now facing a headwind coming in, slowing the river down. So here we go to Daytona Beach at news time. The pier is still intact. 75 degrees on the Daytona Toyota DeLand Kia cam. Wind from the north at 29. Orlando Health camera at news time. What happened? Did I mess you up? I messed it up. Beautiful shot, but nonetheless. Future wind gusts are still out there. So as we go into the night tonight, look, Flagler Beach has a future wind gust up to 50 miles per hour. So be ready, Flagler County. You're not done. Much of the rest of the area is kind of done, but not Flagler County and probably not part of Volusia County as well. By tomorrow, everything goes the right way, and then on Saturday and Sunday, we calm it. There goes the rain tonight, finally leaving the entire area during the night tonight and through the day tomorrow. 2 thumbs up. A great run through Friday, an even better run through Saturday and Sunday. Your low tonight in the City Beautiful is 68. Showers and thunderstorms beginning to check out. Here is tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Rooms to Go.
All right, daytime high tomorrow breaks it back to 81. I went ahead and put fall foliage in. I don't know who I'm kidding. Take a look at the week ahead. Tomorrow's 81, 85 on Saturday and Sunday, 85. With the drier air, it will feel a little more like fall, a little. The forecast for the next week looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Tom, I'm happy to see the 7-day fall foliage, anything. Yeah. We're not talking about
Give
the
me
storm.
That dog walking forecast.
Anything except Ian. Thank you, Tom.
Next hour.
All right, sounds good.
Well, as we're telling you, power outages are also a huge problem right now in Central Florida.
In minutes, News 6 investigator Mike Holfeld is breaking down current outages and hearing from FPL about their response to the storm. You're watching News 6 at 4:30, getting results. We'll be right back.
Well, right now, millions of people in Florida do not have power after Ian rolled through. New nighttime satellite imagery from NOAA shows the before and after, and you can see the lights just lining the coast. After Ian, it's all dark. The hurricane knocked out power to tens of thousands of Floridians even before making landfall on the Gulf Coast.
Now, officially, the officials are saying that more than 20,000 crews were deployed across the state of Florida to help those without power. News 6 investigator Mike Holfeld is live now in the newsroom with more info on how to process this and how that process is expected to go.
Thanks, Ginger. Matt, I'm one of those no power, 4 a.m. this morning. The storm has affected about 3.4 million power customers so far, meaning some utilities have been restored after the storm passed through their territory. But there's still millions of widespread power outages across the state. Over 2.6 million homes and businesses are currently without power. Florida Power and Light accounts for almost half, roughly, ready for this, 1.2 million. Duke is working over 678,000 power outages. OUC has 65,000. KU news, they're down to 3,700. The FPL was the utility with the most power outages so far. These are pictures from their meeting. Their crews assessing damage and restoring power. Guys are out there working for us. Officials warn some homes and businesses will need to be rebuilt rather than repaired.
There are sections of our territory close to the beach along the Barrier Islands that will require rebuilding. There are some destructive areas that simply cannot be repaired, and they'll have to be rebuilt. Unfortunately, there are also homes and businesses that will simply not be able to safely take the power once it's ready.
The FPL also warned it is in the process of getting the distribution system and substations back up that were damaged by debris, but officials also assured customers they had one transmission tower not damaged, meaning the backbone is up and operational. Matt?
All right, such a mess. It is going to take a minute and some patience. Mike Holfeld, thank you. We have some more coverage on Hurricane Ian coming up.
Yeah, the storm is still hitting the East Coast. So here's a live look now at Daytona Beach. Chief Meteorologist, there it is. Chief Meteorologist Tom Searles is pinpointing when it will move out for good. Don't go away. We'll be right back.